Hey, I'm Samnang. This is SNJ Pride, the podcast where two gay men who've been together for over 11 years keep it all the way real about coming out, love, and everything in between. If you've ever felt alone, stuck in the closet, or scared you'll never find real healthy love, this is your space.
And I'm James. We're not perfect. We're not your therapists. We're just here to share what we've lived, so you don't have to walk this road alone. You're home. Welcome to SNJ Pride.
If you think heartbreak means you should stop loving, listen to what 5 breakups taught me.
Tonight, I'm doing something different. A single hour-long monologue that traces 5 relationships that ended and 1 skill each breakup forced me to learn. This isn't a list of what was wrong with other people. It's a map of how I learned to love better. By the end, you'll have 3 practical things to try the next time your chest tightens and you're terrified to open it again. Quick roadmap. I'll tell each story, name the wound, and then give you the lesson that came from it. Breakups 1 and 2 are about not being seen and repeating patterns. Breakups 3 and 4 are about betrayal and distance. Breakup 5 is the near forever that didn't happen and how it set the stage for meeting James. Then we'll pull those into 3 concrete takeaways you can try tonight. Breakup 1, my first love, in high school. He and I shared glances in the cafeteria like contraband. I was folding my life around the secret of him. I believed that hiding kept people safe, that visible love invited danger. When he left, quietly, a text that said he couldn't risk it anymore, it felt like the air went out of the room. I remember sitting on my bedroom floor, listening to the fridge hum, thinking, if I can't be seen, I don't exist.
The lesson from that first fracture was brutal and simple. Permission to be seen has to start with you. I thought being invisible protected me. What it did was teach me to shrink. The work after that breakup was learning how to give myself permission to exist in the open. Small things at first. Wear colors I liked. Speak a truth in front of a friend. Say my name aloud and put it in the center of the room.
Samnang, that shrinking, I remember you telling me later how long you carried it. That's real. And it explains so much about why the next relationship looked the way it did. You're not alone in that.
Breakup 2, a relationship that kept repeating an old pattern. He was charismatic, intense, and somewhere between care and control, I stopped naming what I needed. Arguments became waves that crashed and then never fully receded. When it ended, I believed love was chaos and that my needs were the problem. I left with a scar that read, "My voice breaks things." What I learned, you can spot red flags by watching the small exchanges, not the grand apologies. If you find yourself apologizing for asking for a birthday plan or breathing when you say, I need a little space, that's a pattern, not passion. Naming needs out loud became a muscle. I need to know where we stand, or I need to feel safe when we argue. Small scripts practiced in the mirror gave me permission to speak without feeling selfish.
And that muscle building, that's what changed things for you later. You learned to say the thing instead of holding it like a hot coal. That's the truth of it.
Section 2. Breakups 3 and 4. These were where my heart actually shut for a while. Breakup 3. Betrayal. He was someone I trusted with small secrets and then with a life we were building. The discovery was sudden, humiliating, and raw. I remember the sight of his jacket on the chair and the way my hands went numb. I did what so many of us do. I folded up my heart and put it in a drawer. I told myself, never again. What saved me wasn't revenge or retreat. It was learning how to grieve without making grief into a reason to stop living. I made a ritual, small acknowledgments each week where I named the loss, what we'd had, what broke, and gave myself a permission statement. I mourn this. I will not let this define what love is. Grief, I learned, is not a lockbox. It's a doorway if you give it time and a structure to move through.
Breakup 4. Long distance. This one ended slowly, with silence and missed calls. At first, we romanticized it. We'll make it work. But distance exposes rhythm. The problem wasn't miles. It was that we had not built a shared way to show up when we weren't near each other. Week after week, I waited for texts that didn't come. Small disappointments stacked until the relationship bent and finally gave.
The lesson, presence is practice. Intimacy can survive distance if you create rituals, a Sunday call at the same time, a photo that isn't prettified but real, a check-in that starts with, I miss you, and here's one thing I did today. Those tiny signals say, you exist in my day, even when you are not beside me.
Section 3. Breakup 5 and the turning point.
Breakup 5. The almost forever who wasn't. We were close to a life plan. Shared apartment. Pets talked about like plans. The nervous joy of introducing each other to family. Then, one evening, a conversation that should have been small turned into a reveal. He wasn't ready to commit the way I was. The future we'd both sketched disappeared like chalk in the rain. That pain felt different. Not messy drama, but a clean, deep loss of a possible life.
That near miss taught me the hardest lesson, how to choose differently. After that, I started asking not just, do you make me feel loved, but do you choose me when it's inconvenient? I started paying attention to consistent choices over romance. The person who chooses you when it's boring and when it's hard is the person who builds a life with you. That's how I learned to see James in a different light when we met later. Not just as an idea, but as someone who kept choosing me again and again.
Now, the takeaways. 3 testable steps you can try tonight. First, a boundary script. Say it out loud once. When you do X, I feel Y. I need Z. Practice it once in your room, then once with someone you trust. Second, a grief ritual. Write 1 paragraph to the relationship that ended, and then burn or delete it. Give the feeling a small, safe container. Third, start a tiny presence ritual for someone you care about. A daily check-in message that says 1 small, true thing about your day. Consistency builds safety.
I want to add one more. Name 1 kindness you will allow yourself tonight. Something small. Order the food you want, send a single honest text, or take a walk and tell yourself the truth. You are worthy of repair. We can teach our hearts how to trust again, 1 small, steady step at a time.
If you're sitting with this right now and you're terrified to love again, here's what I want you to hear. Your fear is real and it's valid, but fear is not a verdict. You have been trained by hurt, not by the future. Give yourself permission to move slowly, permission to say no, permission to say yes when someone chooses you in small ways, permission to be seen, to name what you need, and to grieve without canceling your future.
We're not therapists. We're telling you what worked for us. If anything in this episode brought up deep pain, please consider reaching out to a mental health professional or someone you trust. If you feel like you might harm yourself, contact local crisis services right away. You deserve help and care in those moments.
If this episode hit you, please like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments which breakup lesson landed for you. If you're not comfortable sharing details, just drop I hear you so we know you're there. Share this with a friend who needs hope. It helps more than you know.
Thank you for being here. You are not alone. Keep practicing the small things that rebuild trust. We'll see you next week with another story. I'm Samnang.
I hear you. You're not alone. This is SNJ Pride.